Hello, everybody, and welcome. Happy Friday. It's Friday. This is Drawing with Alex. I'm Alex, and we're here. We've got a big day. I've got a bunch of stuff that we're going to go through, check off the list in our handy-dandy sticky note holder that we 3D printed ourselves. It's Friday, everybody. We made it. We're here for another day of drawing. Last night was supposed to be the Flight 12 launch of Starship. And we went live for that over on Today in Space because I've been podcasting about space for the last decade, which is crazy. Actually, more than a decade at this point. So we've been following Starship from the beginning. It looked amazing on the pad, got down to T-minus 40 seconds, which is basically launch, right? You're doing everything but lighting the engines at that point. And it was crazy. I've never seen so many restarts to 40 seconds. They would let it go, try and see if it would be ready to go, and then something would stop it around like 29 seconds and it would reset. Never seen that before. It was very tense. But they have the rocket, they have Starship, and the pad is safe. So they're going to give it a go again. It was supposed to be today. Turns out the problem was a pneumatic pin for the chopstick, the arms that holds Starship in place. One of those pins wouldn't let go, so obviously they reset to 40. I'm just checking SpaceX. If you do want to follow SpaceX, the best place for the most up-to-date stuff is X. All right, so right now it's saying 5:58 p.m. is the start of the broadcast today. So we'll be live. We'll be covering that. So if you want to follow on the Starship, later tonight, we'll be going live around 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure to follow it. That is the Starship Flight 12 launch, and this is my Starship pen that I 3D printed and have in my Etsy shop. It's one of my favorite things to write with, and we've got to do a new version of this because there's a new version of Starship V3. But we're here to draw. Thank you for being here. If you are here, let me know in the chat. Happy Friday. Glad you're here. All right. So at AG 3D Labs, we are building a 3D printing AI that's based on my last decade of 3D printing experience, right? I was doing this for 2 years by myself in my basement, getting customers, building my own 3D printers, designing parts for people. And then that became the experience that gave me the leverage to enter the industrial 3D printing industry. I worked with metals, I worked with composites, I worked with bone and lots of other different powdered materials with this thing called binder jetting. It was a great experience. I learned so much, and I met a ton of great people. The 3D printing industry is very small, so it's a great thing if you're a good person. There's always someone that can help you out if you lose your job. So I lost my job back in August. I've been doing this for long enough that an AI has gotten to the point where you can code that I figured, you know what? Let me make an AI that can help people with 3D printing like I do. And then it's more accessible to more people, right? Because not everyone can afford paying someone for like a consulting fee for an engineer, right? So that's where that's all going. That made it obvious to me that I had to write a book. because that book becomes the knowledge base, the RAG as they call it. But it's like the reference that the AI and the LLM makes before it gives an answer. Keel Hart, welcome. Happy Friday. Or maybe you're just happy. And that's great. So anyways, I decided to write my first book. And I've been doing these because I need to do the artwork for my book. So I've been starting up with warm-up sketches to get the creative juices flowing before I start writing the artwork for the book. So I've got the warm-up sketch coming up. I would love ideas. I'll go through what we've already done. So these were our first ones: hardworking wombat and the consistent cougar, both from Be Friends. I relate with those traits a lot. Then on the left, I've been getting a lot of Dragon Ball Z in my feed lately. So I was like, okay. I was like, let's make this happen. So I love Perfect Cell Saga. That's where that came from. I've drawn a lot of Dragon Ball Z, especially as a teenager. Then all the alien stuff, it was like, we got to do First Contact. Here, this is an alien called Al. And he's not your typical alien. He needs water to survive. Last Friday, this was on my mind. I think that's self-explanatory. And then I hung out with my friends. We were outside having drinks. It was awesome. So I did the Adventurous Astronaut, the Adaptable Alien, and the Vibin' Vampire, who's in the shade, because he's a vampire. Again, more V Friends. Then I did Goku from like early DBZ. And then the Balanced Beetle, another V Friend. And I've been loving just like these, I guess, inspirational or just like block letter sketches. I like it, but I wanted to match the Goku stance for the Balanced Beetle. I think I did it. So now I need ideas. D Long Zong, hello. Thank you. Any recommendations for a sketch this morning? I may have one, but if anyone has one in the chat, let me know. Looking for ideas for sketching. Well, that's great, DeLong. Well, keep drawing. That's the most important thing. I was inspired to get back into drawing myself because I did a lot as a kid, definitely at your age, through junior high, through my teenage years. And then I was always doodling in class. And then somewhere in college when I went to become an engineer, kind of lost that creative outlet. And it was something I really needed back in my life. And that's when I started a podcast called Today in Space, which I've been doing for 12 years at this point, over 400 episodes. And that was just because I needed to get back to being creative and doing creative things. Then I was following V Friends. They hired the comic book artist, DJ Kaufman, and he was doing these live streams where he would draw and sketch and hang out with people. And so that's what this is with my AI 3D printing business. So this is one of the more fun things that I get to do. And that's all, it all started from drawing. So keep drawing, dude. All right. So I've got an idea. Let's get this down here. All right. So this is actually from a comic book that I'm doing. It's comic strips to start. It's the start of Spaceman Comics. It's just a reason for me to draw and explore and to, I would say that I definitely work hard. I'm a pretty disciplined person. Can that be out of balance? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something I've been working on. It's definitely been something I've been working on. So I've been loving this because this is a reason for me to actually work on a bigger project and have fun. Like, this is fun for me. This drawing part is not work for me. This is the fun part. And so I set the goal of doing a comics strip and just doing a story because it aligns with my 3D printing endeavors. It lines up with my podcast, Today in Space. It's also clearly getting very popular right now. I've been seeing the rise of it, following VFriends. And like, it's just, sometimes it's nice just to have a reason to create that's not in the business, especially if you're creative as part of your business. I like the hand, I don't like the arm position. Did not seem natural. I don't know if that feels more natural or not. Awesome. Messed up with that dude's arm. All right, so you can't see me, but I'm sticking my left hand out. Thanks for stopping in, DeLong. I'm sticking my hand out so that I can see it as a reference. Cannot compute. So this scene, like I was saying before, is from just 2 comic strips that's starting off the story of Spaceman, who is, as you can tell, the astronaut. He's always in his astronaut suit. And he's just confronted this alien that he noticed all dressed up in disguise. Caught him in the alleyway. There's a confrontation. And all of a sudden, the alien goes through a portal he just made. And then the astronaut, Spaceman, needs to decide, is he going to run in after the alien and let him get, or just let him get away? The cool thing about this alien, who I think's name is Bob, is he can also transform so like if he's calm and happy, he looks one way, gets angry or scared, or if he's to defend himself, he grows his ears. So the minute Spaceman decides, I gotta confront this dude that looks like an alien, thinks he's gonna get in a fight with it. Instead, he opens a portal, starts jumping through it. So it's gonna be definitely a fun story to tell. Will they be friends? Will they be enemies? Who knows? We'll find out on the first episode, The Adventures of Spaceman. All right, good warm-up, John. And some alpha of what I'll be doing later this year when I've got the book done. It's the 22nd today. Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. Let's restart the music there. Boom. All right. There we have it. Alpha for later. All right, so we did the warm-up sketch before my GPU story. Okay, so when you're building an AI, one of the more important things is that you have GPU, because that's like where the horsepower comes in. That's what makes AI fast, because if it runs on the CPU, it's too slow. So someone decided, oh, let's just use a gaming GPU, run it through there. And that's how things have started to accelerate. So I had a gaming computer, so it was a great like stepping stone to start building my own AI. And it's a pretty decent gaming card. 8 gigabytes, not too shabby. NVIDIA, right? It's an RTX. Cool stuff there. But this wasn't enough, especially if I was going to make Chat 3DP, which is our 3D printing AI that we're building at AG3D Labs. So anyways, I had to replace it with a larger card. So I ended up getting a 20 gigabyte RTX A4500. But basically, more than double the amount of GPU. So now I can actually run a 3D printing AI off of my desktop. And the problem with it is I have it standing up, so the GPU is coming out of the side of the motherboard, and it's so heavy that I think that it's tilting down or like moving when things are shaking, when the fans are turning on, and it's actually pulling against the SD chip, which is right behind it, and it keeps disconnecting. All the memory's there. Doesn't seem to be a crash. If I reseat it, it's fine. So I actually have to turn my computer from vertical to sideways because my new GPU is too heavy. So we'll see how that goes. But that was my morning, was having a great coding run, and then all of a sudden it just has the same problem again where it doesn't know where the disk is. So if anyone's looking for an 8 gigabyte gaming RAM, you hit me up. I'll get you a deal. But that's my GPU story. AI servers are certainly interesting, and look, I'm in the business of AI now, right? So I am making my own AI server, but man, there's a difference between a purely business decision of making an AI server versus like a maker like me. Like, I'm trying to be the most efficient. I'm trying to think about where's the heat going. I'm trying to think about how can I manage this? How can I power this with solar? I'm a big fan of all this AI compute going into space and not on Earth and not costing taxpayers or people that live in that town any money. So it's been a fascinating thing, but you don't need a lot. You do not need a lot to actually run a server that's useful and has customers and all that stuff. So a lot of learning on that. If you want to learn more about it, every week I put out a newsletter. It's free. Go to chat3dp.ai to sign up for it. It goes out at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Last week, we talked about why I wrote the book of Common Sense 3D Printing. It's good. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. All right, so warm-up sketch is done. Now let's showcase some little 3D printing show and tell. All right, so we got a whole bunch of used Nerf guns that we're gonna flip online, and we got them very cheap. Thank you to the moon. Cards and collectibles. We don't have enough darts for them, so I have a foaming TPU that makes soft. Right, this isn't it, but same idea. It's a foaming material. It's soft. And so I've been testing it. And so this is what we have so far. So like, it's soft. It's a little harder than the regular dart, but it also doesn't really propel as much as the other one. It's getting better, and I still clearly have enough. We've got some setting tuning to do. It's just like, I think it's overflowing. So we'll see. But like, that is fun. Like for me, I own a printer. That doesn't cost me a lot to do this, and I'll do a cost analysis of the difference. To me, it's just a fun project, and just to see like, can I 3D print that? Can I make one with 3D printing? Because really, it's just a soft and then this like rubbery tip, right? Like that's all it is. And it's just glued, right? So it's not crazy. And I'll keep updating you on our progress. So that's show and tell number 1. That is show and tell number 1. Ooh, here's a good one. So this is also 3D printed. Now this is a really cool process where the color is actually inkjet. There's some support material left over here, but the material is actually inkjetted into the part. And so this is a 3D model with a texture, right? That's where the detail and the color comes from. And this process by Palitra on the X-Rise system, used to be called Rise, now it's Palitra. And this is something that we help our customers with too. It's really cool. There's a lot of cool applications for it. And the material is really hard. It's glass fiber, filled plastic. And then if you're new to 3D printing, one of the fun things about working in the 3D printing industry is you get a lot of sample parts, a lot of like fidgety toys, right? I've made my own too, right? This is my little gyroscope fidget spinner in multicolor, a little heart on it. And then there's real fun ones like this. This is a powder base. I think this is laser powder bed fusion of plastic. But you can see that there's a ball inside of there. And that's one of the cool things about 3D printing, is having these built-in assembly things. Like you can't You can't like machine this tiny ball inside of this bigger machine. There are things you can do, but you can't have this design and do that, right? Like you might have some openings where a tool cutter can get in, but that's just the point. 3D printing allows you to build things that traditional manufacturing can't. Doesn't mean it's everything. Doesn't mean that 3D printing is the option every single time. But that's why we just got to get smarter and figure out all those new things. And that's definitely a big topic and a big vibe from our new book, the Book of Uncommon Sense 3D Printing. But yeah, that is that. All right. A good 3D printing show and tell. Let me know what your favorite was in the chat. And I would love to know two things. Let's see. The weirdest way to write that question. All right, just a reminder, if you've got any 3D printing questions, I've been working in this industry for over a decade. So even if it's something you're dealing with right now, really whatever it is, hit me up in the chat. It's part of why we're here. Is to make 3D printing more accessible, but also just to help fix some of the knowledge gaps so we can all do more with 3D printing. Now, so if you have any 3D printing questions, ask in the chat anytime. If you have a favorite 3D print, I also want to know. Always love hearing what someone's favorite 3D print is. There's a lot of different answers out there, so that's really cool. All right. So Starship Flight 12, I think we already talked about that at the beginning here. First attempt yesterday was very tense. Very tense. But it's a good sign. It's a good sign that they went to T-minus 40 seconds. Yes, the arm holding Starship, the pneumatic pin didn't release, so they couldn't let go of the rocket before launch, which would have been a problem. The pad is there, Starship's there, and they should still be trying it today. So we'll be going live tonight around 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Today in Space. I'd love to see you there. Bring your curiosity. That brings us to the very last thing on our list. And it is drawing for the book. We're here. Let me show you some. Let's dox myself. Here's Wednesday's drawing. This was one of the images from the topics of the last chapters of the book, where I get to talk about the future of 3D printing, where it's going to go, and certain applications that I think will be valuable in space missions moving forward. And that's how I would like to get involved in the space industry, combining my 3D printing expertise, is working in some way like this, working on one of these applications, helping 3D printing solve problems in long-term space missions. So, this is the book of Uncommon Sense 3D Printing. It's a decade's worth of experience failing and then having victory in some of the most challenging 3D printing problems in industrial 3D printing, and a lot of it with metal. And it was actually a joy to write. Joy is a weird way to put that. Writing a book is tough. It kind of pushes you inside and out. It's mentally challenging, but also to get productive work on a book takes, you gotta put yourself there. Sometimes that's not always easy. So, one of the other big applications for 3D printing in space. We've interviewed the founder of a company that's doing this, Space Copy, Madison Fian. She and her company, Space Copy, are building a system. We'll also have AI involved, but it's a system that's going to regulate regolith, drill it, gather it. So the soil of, let's say, the moon, they're going to grind it down, process it, put it into a 3D printing process, and send these 3D printers ahead of time, build the structures in space with the moon's soil, with Mars's soil, and that's going to have a lot of advantages because obviously you don't have to bring the building material with you, right? You just got to bring a laser or, a drill bit, powdering thing. Bring a rover with all that stuff on there, and you can build the structures. On top of that, instead of us developing crazy, high-performing, radiation-resistant materials that then we have to fly from Earth to the moon, we just use the soil, which already has that radiation-blocking ability. If we build below the surface, if we have tunnels, you could survive the radiation out in the moon. There's no atmosphere, so there's no protection. So you got to protect yourself somehow. If you just build the buildings out of this stuff, it's both. It's your construction material and it's your radiation shielding. So there's a huge advantage to it. And now, with the new NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman, the new plan for Artemis and our return to the moon is to dedicate, once we get a certain way there, dedicate a plot of land, probably on the South Pole of the moon, that has space for additive manufacturing. So 3D printing fields where they are processing the lunar powder, laying it out, and then building actual things with it. It's wild to think about. Right, I was thinking about this morning how I saw a video of someone on LinkedIn who's testing what melting down lunar soil is like. Like they're figuring out the temperatures. They don't have a lot of soil, so they have to guess. But they're figuring out a heating cycle to melt down these bricks. And so wouldn't it be cool if, as we're industrializing the moon, like making it to a point where, you know, we can start building like we do here on Earth. What if there's like just a moon pavement road, or just like it's filled with like moon bricks? It's the first time I've ever thought about that. It's probably the first time you ever heard it. But that would be really cool. That's many years ahead, but it's not that far ahead. All right, so this one, the way that I'm envisioning this, is there's one main arm in the center of a field. It's building let's see, a silo. Maybe it's just a habitat. So like here, it's actually building out the walls on the inside for all the rooms as it's building up. This could be like a processing unit. I feel like they're gonna need a few different rovers there. I want to say it's Toyota or Honda. The company in Japan, I think, that is building a high performance rover, or at least was for NASA. Let's get this closer. So later tonight, Starship Flight 12 should be taking off. This is the kind of potential that Starship has over anything else that exists right now. Any lander or capsule is, once it works, could send up to 100 people into space. Think about that. each one of these windows being a room, right? That's the kind of size that this thing is going to have. One piece that is not so well understood yet is the elevator to get down from Starship. There's some disagreements between NASA and the SpaceX team there. Especially about redundancy, right? If you get to the moon, I think this is a valid question to ask. I don't know the details from the SpaceX team, although I would hope they have an answer and a logic. But let's say you get to the moon, you land successfully. What happens if this doesn't work? Is there a backup system? Is like, it can't really have like a scaffolding, like a ladder on the outside, because then this isn't aerodynamic to get off of the Earth to get to the moon. It's an interesting thought, anyway. So I'm excited to hear more about that, because that is going to be a crazy mission. In fact, Tuesday, we're getting an update from the NASA team and the NASA administrator on the lunar base details. So they gave us that like intro to all their plans. Apparently, we're going to get details into the exact specifics. Everything about Artemis now is moving in that direction. So there's a lot of decisions that need to be made. We need to learn who the new Artemis 3 astronauts are going to be. Right? We need to know who our adventurers are. Because that mission's next year. Right? If the schedules hold, if we get what we want, the schedule would need to have us know who those astronauts are soon, because they got to start training. So that is close to a crater. I wouldn't land here, but you get the point. So here, I want to do a funky, organic shape for the base that it's building. Looks like a tower. I was not looking for a tower. So organic shape to me seemed like as if it's like growing out of the soil. All right. Thinking like a tree or a fungus or something like that. And then on top, you can have it's like this is what they sent to the moon. Right, like the stained glass or not stained glass. Just the observatory level. Geodesic dome. That's the word I'm looking for. It's the geodesic dome. So I have to figure out that design a little bit more. But it's funky. But who knows, maybe this is a part that needs radiation shielding, while this part doesn't. Who knows? But that's the cool thing about those chapters, is just kind of get free reign to make some guesses and put it out there. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I might be right about some of them. So that's the one of the fun things about the book that I am excited about. And so this will be the drawing for that part where we talk about space applications and all of that. And we've got the NASA update on the moon mission. So with everything going on, that's gonna be a nice distraction. There we have it, folks. Another application of 3D printing. In situ regolith 3D printing. There we have it, folks. A space application for the near future. It's going to be a fun thing to watch. That's it, folks. I think that's all we got today. Thank you all for joining me for another Drawing with Alex. It's a very fun day. Very fun afternoon with you, as we say out here in the Northeast. Got through a lot. Again, if you ever have any 3D printing questions, you're always welcome to ask them in the chat or email me at ag3d.engineering@gmail.com. I would be happy to hear from you. You can also DM us wherever you follow us online. Our warm-up sketch for today was a little insight into a comic that I'm working on. No end date, but I figured I'd share a little bit with you. Came out good. Our artwork for the book also came out good. So another solid day. Happy Friday, everybody. Join us at 6 p.m. Eastern Time over at Today in Space, YouTube, Twitch, X, Facebook. We're everywhere. Check us out. We'll be following the SpaceX Starship Flight 12 that brings us closer to going from the Earth to the moon with a spacecraft capable of sending up to 100 people to the moon.